Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss about how we can create grids in CSS. So there are different methods of creating grids in CSS, and for creating simple and basic grids I normally use the display property of CSS, and among them I use display grid and display flex property. So let's go through them one by one. So right now in my code you can see that this is just a basic HTML structure, and we have a basic CSS for the heights and background color only, and right now we have the layout is below. And now if I want to arrange them in the grid, so first let's see how we can make this happen using the grid layout. So in this div, in our parent div, which is the class name grids, I can just write the display property is grid. The main thing to remember in here is this grid template columns property. So this determines how many columns you want to have in your grid. For example, if I just write one frame and one frame, so this means that I like to have two columns, and it becomes like this. But right now we cannot see the difference because of the gap. So let's give some gap between these items like this. So as I specified that I like to have 2 frames per column, so you see I have a grid layout with 2 frames. So if I like to have more number of columns, then I can also specify it like this, but there is a shortcut method that you can use, and it goes like this. So you see now you have a grid that has 5 items per row. In this way you can create grids in CSS using the grid layout. And also one more thing, like if you want to make this responsive, I'm going to give a basic idea on how to make it responsive too. For example, if you like to have only say 2 columns for the screen size 768, then you can do it is below by specifying a media query for max width 768 pixel, and for this CSS you can just simply copy this, and you can say that I'd like to repeat frames per 2 column. So you see now you have a responsive layout. So in this way we have made responsive grids using grid layout. Now let's see how you can achieve the same process using the display flex property. So let me remove these two, and now let me specify the display flex property. For flex you need to specify the width of the item too. So for example, if I like to have 20% width for each item, then you see they are all displayed in the same row initially, because I have not specified whether to wrap these rows in multiple line or not. So for that, the default property is always no wrap, which means that the overflown items are not wrapped into the next line. But if I specify to wrap them by using this property flex wrap, then yeah, they are wrapped in the next line, and we can have a grid like this. But you see that even though we have specified with 20% for each of these items, we can see that only 4 of them are occupied in here in one row. And to fix this, what I normally do is, it is because of the gap that are present in between these items. So what I normally do is, I do not give with 20% directly, but instead what I do is I subtract the gap also, because in here we have gap 20 pixel. So yeah, now the width is calculated along with the gap present in between these items, and we have 5 items in one row. And similarly, if you like to make this responsive too, for example, if you like to have only 2 items per row in this display flex layout, then what you can do is, in the items you can specify the width of the items to be like 50%. And yeah, you have a responsive layout with the display flex property too. So yeah, this is how we can create responsive grids in CSS by making use of the display flex and display grid property. Thank you for watching.